Our second speaker is our Sergeant at Arms. Mr. Esteban has become our new Sergeant at Arms for the U.S. Senate Toastmasters Club. He is a Washingtonian of 19 years. He previously served as civil service for the Commonwealth of Virginia in his role as the Chief Information Security Officer of Old Dominion University. With today's project, this is also a dynamic leadership path. It is a level 1 evaluation and feedback where he's going to repeat a speech he gave before, incorporate the feedback that he got that hopefully wasn't too full of petty fog or other exaggerated pedantic recommendations. This speech is called How to Manage Tasks at Work. Mr. Esteban, how to manage tasks at work.
Thank you very much, Toast Leader and immediate past president. Appreciate this opportunity. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is time when I was a protege, and I still am a protege. And this is immediately when I came out of college in '99, and I learned the value of having a mentor. And there were two people that helped me learn how to manage tasks and projects. They gave me a framework. This was Professor Jimmy Carraway and Madam Lisa O'Connor, whom I worked for. A task is anything that the customer asks me to do at work, usually a smaller type of component, and the project is the overlying product or service that we're trying to. And for my example here, I've had to write cybersecurity policies for executive branch agencies and their divisions thereof. So that is an example of being assigned a project. The task in that project would be my boss saying, hey, I need you to interview some of the customers and some of the subject matter experts that who can give us salient information of how the user community feels about cybersecurity. What are the risks? What are the impacts? What do they need from us? So for this example, I'll walk you through a task that I have been assigned. If I didn't have this framework of managing tasks, it's called the systems development lifecycle, I would have gotten crushed during my internship and thoroughly in the first few years that I was working, because cost overruns happen very quickly. Okay. So with that, the first phase of managing a task or a project is gathering the requirements. And I've discussed this before. What I'll do is I'll meet with the client or the customer and ask them what are the requirements for doing this project. And they'll tell me, I need you to do this interview. And we need to know what the risks are and how can this policy help add value and protect the user community, and just keep it general. From there, I document all the requirements in email. Next, I identify the critical path for the completing the task. The critical path is all the activities that are required to reach the end product, which is either a service or a product deliverable. In this case, I will need to set up an interview with a subject matter expert. I'll need to write out all my questions. I'll need to ensure that they have the necessary expertise. I'll need to make sure I have a facility to meet with them and take notes, etc. So that's the critical path. Well, next, I have to identify dependencies. So what is dependent on me establishing the critical path? Well, I need information. I need to identify somebody that I can interview. So I need to meet with people. I need to, as far as a facility, so I can sit down and interview, I need to make sure I have a room that is accessible for the customer. Those are examples. Next thing I need to do is identify areas that need some type of redundancy. For example, if this cybersecurity policy is very important and this is the person that needs to be interviewed, and without this person's input, we cannot complete this cybersecurity policy, then I would need a backup. So I'm thinking along the lines of, okay, I meet with this person in 2 weeks. If they're not available at that time, who else can I interview? So from there, knowing the ending date that my boss needs this interview information. I will establish rapport with the second, continue, start to build relations and just be honest with them. Why am I doing this? This is why. And I'll show the requirements that I have for my customer. And then the next item that I have over here is making sure I have the required resources to complete this project. And that is done by writing out the project plan, writing out the phases, the milestones, how long will it take, identifying risks for dependencies. What if the person doesn't come to the interview, then I have to reschedule or go to a backup. What if the project runs out of money? Then what am I going to do then? And when I evaluate how much time is necessary to complete this project and how many people are involved, then I will write this plan out along with the requirements and send it back to my customer and my boss, whoever asked me to do this. And I'll ask them to confirm whether or not this meets their expectations. And they'll decide, is this adequate or not? And maybe they say, you're spending too much time in this area interviewing this person. Why don't you interview this person? Or I know a more qualified person that you can interview, they can get this done faster. So those are different ways, different dependencies. And as the dependencies change, then the critical path can change as well. So those are the basic techniques that I use for managing a task. The reason why I do this is because if I get multiple tasks from a boss, then I could easily be inundated with a lot of work to do. And that can negatively impact the quality of my deliverables that I provide to my boss or my client. So in that respect, when I know what each task takes as far as level of effort and hours, then I can push back and say, you want me to do an additional task, but I already have 2 in the queue. If you want me to do this task, then I need to deprioritize one of these 2 tasks I already have. When I don't have these project plans, I don't have quantified hours and level of effort, then I cannot do that. It's a real nebulous type of stab in the dark. So that's why I quantify the hours that I do that I use for these tasks. So again, the phases that I use is 1, gathering requirements from the customer, 2, identifying the critical path, 3, identifying dependencies, then identify areas of redundancy, then I determine the resources necessary to complete the project, and finally I send the project plan and requirements back to the customer to get signed. Thank you very much for letting me speak on this topic, and enjoy your day.